Hello, sir. Sorry to keep you
Hey,
waiting.
Nigel.
How you
No
doing? You
worries,
okay?
no worries at all. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. Always happy. Always happy. So, what was your name again? I didn't catch your name.
My name's Matt.
Oh, yeah, of course I did catch your name. Sorry, Matt. It just slipped out of my
No
brain
worries.
just for a little split second. Okay, Matt. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me how old you are. Tell me where you are in the world, and tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm I'm originally from the States. I grew up on the East Coast, um, New England area,
Hmm.
and I actually recently moved out to Texas just because I have
Ah,
the freedom to do so now.
awesome.
And yeah, I'm 29. I went to college and everything like that. Um, I think the first 5 or 6 years out of college, I was working just a regular job. I was in finance, so boring, but I always knew I wanted something more than just working that 9 to 5, clocking in and out. And then I found the real world, and I knew I always wanted to have my own business and whatnot, but I wasn't sure how that would look,
Mm.
and I didn't have a community of people that were on the same page as me.
Hmm.
They were all, I'm going to work till I'm 65 and
Yeah, in that job.
retire for
Yeah, yeah.
10 years. And that just wasn't how I wanted to be. I didn't want, that's not how I wanted my life to go. So I was lucky to find the real world. And I actually started out while I was still in my last job back in Boston.
Hmm.
Um, I started in the e-commerce campus,
Oh,
just
nice.
kind of getting a feel for everything.
Yeah.
It 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 was a great campus, and the course material really helped, like from A to B, everything that I needed to know to set myself up. But I kind of took a look around, um, and I found the content creation AI campus. I really liked that. Really liked video editing.
Nice.
So I learned that skill through that campus, and then um, I would say about a year and a half ago, I started in the SMCA campus by Professor Moneybag himself, and
Ah,
started to build my social media because I know that the that social media is really the future for marketing and everything like that. Everyone's on social
yeah,
media,
yeah.
and I felt like that was an area that I was lacking in. I was always the type that was just I'd be on those social media platforms, but I always wondered, like, how are these people getting all these views? How are
Yeah.
these people blowing up, like,
Well,
videos that you and I think are, like, basic, they're, like,
there's
getting
there's
millions of
two things to
views.
that because there's loads of people that do that kind of like digital marketing thing, and they send bots, and they
Yeah.
you can grow organically, or you can grow via someone helping you in that way. I've
Mhm.
People have offered me, and I still probably got some in my phone now. People, oh, I can grow your Instagram, and I can grow you this, I can grow you that. And to be fair, all my followers are genuine followers. They're all organic, and you can get some people
Mhm.
that you know do it. But then you got the flip side of that, because it only takes kind of like one thing or one reel to actually just blow up.
Yep.
I just wanted to say that Bailey's from Texas. That's number one that I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Because our Bailey here, the photographer, the videographer, the
Mhm.
fantastic videographer, actually, he's from Texas. And then just going back a little bit, how did you, because you obviously you're in your last year of your finance, because you went to college, you started doing finance. How did you hear of the real world?
I actually found it on social media. I listened to, um, a couple of the emergency meetings. I was following the tapes for a while,
Mm,
and I was like, "Hey, you know what? I'll check this out." And what actually drew me in is, like, I see, like, negative news, like the fake news and all that stuff, and I'm like, "Let me check this out for myself."
mm,
And I actually ended up being like, "Oh, I'm actually learning a lot." Like, there's all these other online courses and things like that that people try to sell you, and they're not as in depth, they're not as good. It's basically general public information that I could find from a Google search, and here it's
basically,
more in depth. And the one of the best things about the real world is that you have other people that are like-minded on the same mission as you, maybe even in the same stages
Mm.
that you're in.
Yeah,
And so you can
100%.
message them. You got all the specific chats, if I have a question or anything like that. And even the professors are there to help
To
you
help you, to
along the
guide you,
way,
yeah,
which is which
exactly.
is which is awesome. It's
So
it's great.
so just going back quickly, where did you, you said you've been in a realtor for how long?
2 years. In September, 2 years.
And what campus did you start in first of all?
The e-commerce campus.
E-commerce, you said.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. And then you transitioned into which ones?
The content creation and AI campus. I
Okay,
learned
cool.
that skill, and then I went and I've ended up in the SMCA campus
Okay, cool. So that's where you are at the as precise moment.
for the last year and a half, maybe.
Okay, cool. And how have you found that, and where has that taken you to this point here now?
Yeah, it's really helped the way that Professor Moneybags structures the campus, the daily checklist really helps. That's the first thing I do when I wake up. After the gym, after training, and everything like that.
Mm,
Um, he just makes it so easy to follow, like how to grow your social media, how to get clients, and things like that.
mm,
Because that was really the one thing that I struggled with a lot, and I came from like a back office financial, almost like accounting field. So
mm.
at first, I was always like, I don't know if I even want to deal with people. But over time, I realized that wait, I need to deal with
You need
people.
to
I
deal
need
with
my
people,
I
yeah.
need my communication skills. I need to learn how to sell if I want my dreams and my goals to come true.
Mm,
Communicating with people, learning how to sell yourself,
yeah, yeah.
learning a skill, and monetizing it
Exactly.
online. But that still comes down to communication and
Absolutely,
being able to sell yourself.
100%, 100%. Did you what was I going to ask you? Did you leave your work? Did you leave work to continue with
Yeah, I
this,
did
or
it.
are you
I
still?
did in September, and then I actually moved. I was, starting to make good money, covering my expenses and everything like that. And I was like, you know what? I don't need to stay here. I can just go
Just,
wherever
yeah,
I want.
just
So I was like,
disappear. Yeah.
test it out, and it's been great so far. I've been here for, like I said, like the last 9 months, and
Awesome.
keeping crushing it.
So, sorry, correct me if I'm repeating myself, but did you start making money from the e-commerce, or did you start making money from the AI social media?
I I did make money, a little bit of money from the e-commerce. Not a lot though. I felt like I was putting in more with the ads and everything like that. And like I said, it's you're still kind of behind a wall. You're not really meeting with people and
Mm,
building that core skill, the
yeah.
communication skill. And that's what I really wanted to refine. Um, so I left that and went into the content creation and AI campus because I've always been interested in video editing and things like that, how people make these really cool videos on social media. And then I found the SMCA campus,
Yeah,
and
case.
that's the one that I was like, all right, this is where I need to
This
be.
is the way you use it.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah, yeah,
But then you've also got the others there as well that you can get involved in as well if you
yeah.
if you really chose to. So what was the hardest part about the whole journey? Was it like deciding to leave work, or was it um yeah, what was the hardest part about obviously the transition from obviously leaving work to actually joining?
So, do you mean like in the business itself, like since
Yeah,
I've been
in
in real
in
world?
yeah, since you left, I mean,
Yeah.
since you left obviously your job, which you had obviously stable money, and you start to make a little bit more money, and you think, okay, cool, I don't need to stay there. But did you come up against any obstacles, or was there, what was the kind of like difficult parts or the hardest part about the business
Oh,
journey for yourself?
of course, yeah. It's definitely a nerve-wracking experience to leave a stable job. I was making good money at my last job,
Mm,
um, and that's when I really started making money in my business. And I was like, well, now it's now or never.
Mm,
And, with any business, there's ebbs and flows. It's not a set
mm,
salary. So, at that point, I had one or two clients that were recurring, and I still work with to this day. Um, did the move out, and I still was not not confident in my skill. Like as Professor Moneybag always says, experience breeds confidence.
yeah.
So I always, you know, I think my strongest suit was that a lot of other video editors and things like that, um, they kind of just do all these edits and they don't really take into consideration what the client actually wants or what their goal is.
Yeah.
And I noticed that frustration, especially on social media, where you know people that I talked to, whether it was through outreach or just engaging in the community, I saw that frustration a lot, and I played on that
Mm,
when outreaching to prospects and talking to clients. Is like I'm always there, and I always have a point of contact with them, and the clients that I've had really appreciated that.
yeah.
And then over time, I my first reoccurring client that I had, the first video I did, I was like, I've learned my skill. I
You're
know
doing.
how to edit the video and everything like that, but I never really had it like where they posted it to social media. Because before then it was just all gigs and things like that, just really trying to refine my skill and learn
Mm,
how to edit
yeah.
long form and short form. And his first view, like 10x. He like my first video I made for him on his channel, um, got like 30 or 40,000 views, and he before then he was averaging maybe a couple hundred to 1,000.
Oh
And
wow. Okay.
I was like, whoa, this is
Oh yeah.
maybe I'm onto something here.
Big jump.
This is pretty cool.
That's a
And
big
he
jump.
was, yeah, and because it's those kind of moments where you're like, oh, maybe I am in the right area.
Yeah.
Maybe
Right.
I
It
am
feels.
doing
Yeah.
the right thing. Because before then, like I said, it was just like one-off gigs, just trying to like get testimonials and things like that,
Mm,
and which is what Professor Moneybag and the SMCA teaches.
mm,
Um, and so once I finally got a client, and then I had that to roll with, and
mm.
that's really helped with outreach because I'm not just a guy just saying, "Oh, I'll just edit your videos and not have anything to back it up."
Let's back up with. So I'm going to ask you two questions, and there's two questions rolled
Yeah.
into one. Would you say that that number one is your biggest breakthrough, and would you also say that that's helped you to get more clients?
Yes, that one was my biggest breakthrough, um, because it's a well established channel and like over 100 or so thousand subscribers, and
Mm.
um, you can clearly see that when I jumped in, my videos have helped him
Made an
grow
impact.
his engagement. He had a goal. He wanted to get his views and engagement up so that he can monetize, and he was struggling with that. Clearly, he had the subscribers, he had everything in place to monetize, but his views were stagnant at best.
Mm,
Um, and so, yeah, that was a really big moment for me, and I used that and leveraged that for outreach. And then a couple months later, actually, I closed another client once I moved out to Texas, a local Texas business, and this one is a fun project because my whole goal was to pivot away from just pure content creators. It was more to work with businesses and help them grow their social media
mm.
and bring in leads. That's where I thought,
Yeah,
and
that's
I
what you.
still think the money's at, and that's
Yeah,
what
100.
I want to do rather than work with content creators because I've the one-off gigs were like, oh, I'll pay you $15 for this 20-minute video, and that takes like hours and hours
It
of my
does.
time.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
I'm
Trust me.
working for
Yeah.
pennies,
Yeah. Trust me. I
so
know
like
that one.
business, yeah.
That, so
And so that really helped a lot.
so
And that channel's starting from scratch.
good stuff. So talking about money. So you was earning good money at your previous job from your finance.
Yes.
Okay. So financially, where are you now? What have I mean? You've been in the real world. Sorry, excuse my
two
remembrance.
two years.
2 years, yeah. So how's your money been from since it, and where it and where bleh, and where is it now? And what kind of plans you have? There's three steps actually. There's three questions. I wanted to roll into
Yeah.
one. And where do you see it in the next 2 years?
Okay. Uh, so taking a step back, before I left, I was always really good with money and saving and investing. So when I left that job, I had a good emergency fund, um, anyways.
Hmm.
So I when I first started in the real world, it took a few months to start actually making money, and it was a couple hundred to $1,000 here or there. And then that's when I switched to the video editing,
Hmm.
and AI campus, and that's when I learned that skill. And it really kind of it took me a few months to really learn that skill. And at that time, I also transitioned into the SMCA campus where I started building my social medias and really started the outreach process. And I would say it was kind of gig by gig up until September. So really within the last 9 or 10 months is when things started kicking up. And since September, I've made over $26,000
Nice.
profit from the real world. So I'm
Oh,
I'm steadily making about 3 or 4K a month right now. That's actually over four. In the process this week actually of closing another high ticket client,
nice.
and I got another one on the way. Um, so now the what the future looks like is one, I currently have an editor on my team, and I have someone that I've known and networked with before doing my outreach
Hmm.
on social media, but also email outreach, which has proven to be a game changer for me. I get way more interested leads from email outreach.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, so because I think a lot of businesses are, it's more of a professional way to outreach to those
Nice.
target leads, and so that's been really good. And yeah, the future goal in the next 6 months, I set a goal um, to close two more clients on one of my higher ticket offers. That would
Yeah.
bring me to almost, actually, it would not almost, it will bring me to 10K a month. And I'd like to do that by
Month in,
December.
month out, month
Yeah.
in, out.
I, yep.
Love
Yep. I try to set one of the things that I actually really learned since joining the real world, it was setting realistic goals, not saying, "Hey, I'm gonna be a millionaire by the time I'm 31." You're
Mm.
setting yourself up for failure and frustration. That's why people quit. So it's really about setting those realistic goals, and instead of looking at how much you're gonna make a year, try to plan it out in a way where it's per month. Like add an extra $1,000 this month, then next month go out and close another client, add another $2,000. Um, and that incremental approach really is a game changer for me because
Yeah,
I always
it
had these ambitions and things
yeah,
like
yeah,
that, but had no way to plan it out
yeah,
into steps that I could actually achieve. It's like
yeah,
I always wanted the lifestyle, but
yeah.
how am I going to get there
I get it,
is the whole
yeah.
thing.
Funny you should say that because the last person I spoke to, he was only 15 years old, and
Hmm.
he's gone from making 1,000 to 3,000, and then he set himself a goal of 10,000. Now I said exactly the same thing as what you just said to me. You just said to me now about setting yourself realistic goals. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You want to make 10K. That's absolutely fine. But set yourself every single month a realistic goal that you can kind of reach, that you know you're going to reach, or you're there and thereabouts reaching. So you're making small increments every single month. If you overachieve, fantastic. Look at the way you overachieved and apply that to the next month, and apply that to next month, and so forth, and so on and so forth. If you underachieve, it's a bit of a kind of negative towards yourself, as in, oh God, I didn't receive
Mm.
that, but I got this. Be grateful for what you got. That's number one.
Yep.
Number two is, okay, cool. I'm not going to push myself too far because I don't want to be disheartened by not achieving that goal. So I'm going to set myself a realistic goal. Therefore, if I achieve it, fantastic. If I overachieve, even better.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
100%.
and that's it's crazy because that's the same, exactly the same advice that you just said that you set yourself is what I told this guy. He's only 15 years old, so he's still got a lot to learn.
Some of the greatest advice I've ever heard is that, that's really good advice.
What it is, it is that, and that is pretty much life. Uh, don't try and run before you can walk.
Yeah,
Is kind of term
exactly.
like kind of
Hmm.
use. So just like set yourself steady goals, and like I say, if you overachieve on those steady goals, like I went into gym expecting to get one client, you turn around and get three clients. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? So I'm like, whoa, okay, and then one might drop out, but I've still got more. I've got one more than what I initially set myself out to go and get in the first place.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? So for me, I'm still happy. Do you know what I mean? Because I got
Hmm.
that one, plus I got another one, and I got a third, but the third dropped out. So I'm not really bothered about that
Yep.
because I didn't plan that in my head
Hmm.
anyway. Do you know what I mean? So
Yep.
that's the whole part of planning. That's the whole part of having a structure and having something set in place that you can, you know, go to achieve, and you can do all of these, and you can. Do you know what I mean? You can be happy while you're doing it, and you're
Hmm.
not disheartening yourself in any way, shape, or form. So, do you have like obviously your friendship circle because you moved from Boston to Texas? Okay, so in your friendship circle, do you have like your friends around, or do you just kind of like have a very few, or do you kind of communicate with the just the real world guys? And the reason why I asked that is because if you was to introduce one of your friends to the real world, or try and introduce one of your friends to the real world, or try and get them to get into the real world, how would you go about doing it?
Yeah. So to answer the first part of your question, I have a very limited friend group here, um, and I'm trying to think because outside of the real world and the outside of the real world, I actually try to like put myself out there and like join groups. Like I don't know if you're familiar with Toastmasters or anything. It's a public speaking thing. Again, playing on that communication,
Hmm.
and it's basically teaching you how to public speak in front of crowds. And I actually did meet someone there who I am friendly with, and told him about my business and everything like that. And I actually did tell him about the real world. It's like, and I described it to him. It's this campus that has these professors that actually did what they're teaching rather than most universities that,
Yeah. Yeah.
you got the guy that went to get his master's is still $400,000 in debt or whatever,
Yeah. Exactly.
and doesn't even, is just teaching you what he learned in a book rather than
Mm.
actually doing it. And that was the
Actually,
thing.
real life. Yeah. These guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was the biggest takeaway that I had from going to actual college was that, oh, these
Yeah.
guys, a lot of these guys don't even know what they're talking about. They're just using theories and things like that. It's,
It's
whatever,
real world. It's real world life that makes the difference because these guys,
Yeah,
the professors in there, have actually achieved what they're teaching you to achieve,
right.
and
Yeah.
strategies, they know methods. They've gone through kind of obviously the negatives, and then they've come up
Mhm.
and they've taken a positive. So they kind of understand how the world works,
Yeah,
and that's it. Really, to be fair, none of these. I
yeah.
mean,
And they're hyper successful in their
exactly,
field too,
exactly.
which is even better, you know?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
have a lot of experience in it, and that's
The best
awesome. And
people
the
to the
the
best people to learn from. I mean, how would you
Yeah.
say that the real world has helped you? Probably my last question, but how would you say the real world has helped you? And do you reckon you could achieve this without the real world?
Well, the real world between the course materials and all that, it really breaks it down for you in a structured way, whether it was learning the e-commerce stuff. It taught me from, like I said, A to Z on how to
Mm,
set up the store, what to do, Facebook ads, TikTok ads, all that. I learned so much from just that.
mm,
And then you get the calls on top of it every day or every other day, depending on the campus. They have different call schedules. And then the other students ask questions that you might have as well, or you can ask your questions, and
Mm.
it gets answered in real time by the
Yeah.
professors. Yeah, and the same thing with the SMCA campus. When I joined it, it was I didn't know how to really build a social media brand. I didn't really know how to engage with people because I was just like a consumer. I had
Mm.
the consumer mindset.
Yeah.
Um, that was a big switch I had to turn around for myself, and the SMC campus helped with that. And that was the one I was most consistent with, hopping on the calls every day, being active in the chats,
Mm.
because I'd see these people being like, "Oh, I just got 3 million views on this reel on Instagram, or I got 18 million followers on TikTok." I'm like, "Wow, how are these guys doing that?" And I just kept showing up more and more, and just and in doing that and asking the right questions and seeing people real time posts, and they tell you what they did. They were like, "Oh, I use this new hook. I use this new content structure for these reels. TikTok's doing this now. They're promoting this kind of um, content, or X is now switching to video content. This is going to blow up." Like, they kind of list it out for you, and they're like ahead of the curve. And now with AI, they're showing you how to use ChatGPT to basically be your personal assistants, how to write the prompts, all that stuff. That in a Google search, yeah, you might be able to find something, but it's like getting medical advice from Google too. It's like there's so much out there. You're getting all this different information. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm only one person. It's so much better to have a community of people who have either tried one thing out and failed at it, and then they have their story, and they're there to help you, say, "Hey, bro, don't do that. Do it this way."
Yeah. So yeah,
And
yeah,
even the professors that are there, like Professor Moneybag, is always in the chats, always helping out,
yeah,
and he's always so responsive. It's like, anytime I have a question or an issue, or other students do, he's right there. And
yeah. Super active.
that's the big differentiator. That's what really makes this university so great. And yeah, I think I'd still be running circles if I wasn't in the real world, to answer your last question.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like the kind of like analysis paralysis, kind of overthinking everything, and uh, Google searching, 12 hours a day, trying to find the exact answer before I take action.
Yeah.
That was the hardest thing to get over initially, is that starting anything new, you find yourself in that kind of limbo of
Mm.
going through and researching, not thinking you have enough information to take
Yeah.
action. But it's
Yeah.
really the action that helps you get to that next step. You got to try, and if you fail, you fail, but make sure you learn from it,
Yeah. No,
and then
absolutely.
just keep taking the action
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
one day you show up every day, keep taking that action, keep taking that action. One day you're gonna wake up and, oh, I have ten
It's gonna
thousand
go
dollars a
bang.
month. Whoa, I have $20,000 a month. This is crazy. When did this
Yeah,
happen? And then you got
yeah.
the haters that say you got lucky.
Nah, no,
But it's
it's
all
hard
right.
work. There's
Yeah.
there's very little luck in this world. It's all hard work, and it's where
Right.
you put yourself, it's where you position
Yeah.
yourself. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah. 100%.
I super agree with that anyway. So, okay, Matt, I won't keep you too much longer because I kept you waiting
Sure.
and then I kept you talking for a little bit, a long time. So I'll let you
No
get off,
worries.
get some work done. And really, really good to speak to you, actually. Really, really good to speak to you. And yeah,
Likewise.
I'll be speaking to you again, I'm sure. Keep
Of course.
working hard. And then when I check in on you, you know, it's just gone from there where it's totally rising to there.
Can't wait to give you some more good updates. I really
I'm sure you
appreciate
will.
this, Nigel.
I'm sure
Thank
you
you.
will. I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it was a
You take
pleasure.
care. And pleasure's
You
mine.
as well.
Take care, sir.
All right. You too.